My flash marriage partner turned out to be my boss. He faced up. She crossed her legs casually, lazily eyeing the blind date across from her. To be honest, I've dated 70 or 80 boyfriends. I don't like doing housework, I just love spending money shopping. And still a bit of a feminist after getting married. I like to have 3 big chubby daughters. If you can accept these conditions, we can get the certificate right now. It thought it'd scare off my blind minus date match, but to my surprise, he calmly got up and said, "Let's go." Where are you going? Civil Affairs Bureau. Aren't you supposed to get the certificate? 2 minutes later, at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Shiyu tilted her head back to gaze at the large characters on the door plate, silently cursing to herself, damn it. Just which genius came up with the brilliant idea of opening a cafe right across from the civil registry office? She didn't even have time to think of a plan. As she watched her blind minus date partner about to walk inside, she frantically raised her hand and shouted, "Oh, wait a minute." The man turned around and said, "What's wrong?" He pointed at the man's handsome face, then at her own cheeks carefully painted to look like a monkey's bottom, and even her fingertips trembled slightly with nervousness. "Are you really sure you want to get married to someone like me?" Even she herself, the large, dark mole clinging to the corner of my mouth, is trembling as if it might fall off. The man showed no expression and made a gentleman's gesture with his hand after you. Shiyu forced a smile, looking utterly despondent. Oh no, was she really going to marry the blind minus date guy? Shed just graduated from college, only 20 minus 2 years old, and hadn't even had a single serious relationship yet. How could she just jump into marriage like that? Even if the other person was incredibly handsome, that still wouldn't cut it. Wait a minute, this one actually might work. My phone suddenly vibrated. It was a text message from Enter. "How's the blind date going? If it doesn't work out, I've got over a dozen single guys here, all with pretty good family backgrounds. There are still over a dozen potential matches to meet." She rested her chin on her hand, lost in thought. If she refuses Ant here, she'll be nagged non-stop, and if she doesn't want to be nagged, she'll just have to move out. But she'd just started working at a construction company, and her salary was pitifully low. After covering living expenses, she simply couldn't afford the rent. Besides, those in match candidates might not even be as good minus looking as the one right in front of her. Why not turn the situation to her advantage? Shiyu tugged at the man's sleeve and asked, "May I ask, do you have a house?" He seemed taken aback by the question, but still nodded in response. "As long as there's a house, that's all that matters. After getting married, she'll be able to move out and won't have to squeeze into her aunt's attic anymore. When taking a formal ID photo, you're not allowed to wear heavy makeup." She was forced to take off her red wig and remove her thick makeup right in front of the man. It seemed he didn't care what she looked like at all throughout the entire session. He never once glanced directly at her, but the photographer with a smile chimed in, "You two make such a striking couple, handsome man and beautiful woman. You're the most stunning pair I've ever photographed today." She stole a quick glance at the man. His skin was pale and cool, his pupils jet minus black, and his lips were delicately outlined. His facial features were strikingly sharp and perfect, as if HED stepped right out of an anime character model. What was that handsome guy's name again? After getting their marriage certificate, she finally saw his name. Kayan. The name was quite nice, but the man himself was incredibly aloof. He hadn't said more than a few words to her, and even after they'd received the certificate, she hadn't seen him show the slightest hint of joy. Kayan put away the marriage certificate and handed over his phone. "Let's exchange numbers. I'll get in touch with you in a few days to meet my parents. By now, you've probably already heard about my family situation." Shiyu was puzzled and said, "What? Didn't your matchmaker tell you? My grandma's seriously ill. She's threatening to take her own life unless I get married. If I don't marry, she won't go into the hospital for treatment." When Enter pressured her to come on a blind date, she didn't mention any of this. She just said the man could offer a bride price of 200 Yuan and then pushed her into it. He suddenly realized no wonder he was so eager to get married. I see now that it was all just to appease his parents. I hope that after we get married, we'll each get what we need and leave each other alone, Kayan said. Besides our feelings, I can give you anything you want. Shiyu suspected Chi misheard you can have anything you want. Maybe HES watched too many short dramas. Even the richest man in Bi Cheng can't pull off this kind of act as well as he can. After taking a phone call, Kayan said, I've got an urgent matter to take care of at the construction site, so I won't see you off. You don't have to give it to me. I came here myself on an electric bike, she said, swinging her car keys as she pondered what HED just said. If there's an emergency at the construction site, then isn't he just a bricklayer? To talk about carrying bricks in such a refined and delicate way, does that mean her family runs a pig's trotter restaurant? And could she also claim to be the head chef of Pork Minus Foot Cuisine? Shiyu, pushing his little electric scooter past, noticed Kian still standing on the raised platform and asked, Didn't you say you had an urgent matter? Why haven't you left yet? It was midday, and the sun was blazing hot, its warm rays streaming down onto her tiny little face, highlighting her naturally radiant beauty. Only then did Kayan notice her features far more lively and exquisite than those in her ID photo. Yet, with his typically aloof demeanor, he never let himself be moved by mere beauty. With a calm, detached tone, he simply said, I'm waiting for someone to pick me up. Why do you wait for someone to pick you up? Don't you have an electric scooter of your own? No. Shiyu shook her head. Oh, how can this person be even poorer than she is, can't even afford an electric scooter? She hurried back to the store and saw Aunt Chi standing with her hands on her hips at the doorway, cursing under her breath. You! Where have you been? How dare you not answer my call? Shiyu glanced at her phone and said, I'm riding my bike. What's wrong? You little brat, how dare you even ask? Didn't I tell you to go on a blind date? And now look at you, where on earth have you been wandering off to? Anter said, brandishing the feather duster and swinging it toward her. Shiyu shouted, while dodging I was playing I was on a blind date? You're still lying. Mr. Wang waited for you for half an hour, didn't even see you now. He has come looking for you himself. How could that be? Shiyu suddenly realized something. Wait, what about me? The man who's going on a blind date has the surname Wang? That's right, Mr. Wang is a boss who earns $1 million a year. Your blind minus date partner's surname is Wang. Then who exactly is Kayan, the one who met her and ended up getting married? Her mind went blank in an instant, and she suddenly realized, oh no, she'd gotten the wrong person. The match her second aunt had arranged for her was Mr. Wang, but by a bizarre twist of fate, she'd ended up getting married to the man at the next table. And what's more, that man seemed to be none other than Kayan, the CEO and her direct supervisor at Jujing Group, where she'd started working just yesterday. She rushed into the bathroom and, trembling, opened the photo in the company group chat. There, staring back at her, was Kayan's face, identical to the man she'd just married. It's all over. Barbie's really done for. She's just a recent graduate intern who somehow managed to marry the group's president, and she actually thought he was a bricklayer? My phone rang. It was a text message from Kayan. He'll pick you up at 7 p.m. to meet my grandma. She glanced at the text message and almost died on the spot. At 7 in the evening, a black Bentley pulled up in front of the Pig's Trotter restaurant, drawing a crowd of onlookers. Kayan sat inside the car, glancing briefly at Shiyu, who was wearing a faded white T- shirt and jeans, her brows subtly furrowed. She hesitantly opened the car door and whispered, Mr. Kayana, did we perhaps get something wrong? He turned his head to look at her, his gaze calm. A misunderstanding? It's not you I'm dating. She was on the verge of tears. I thought you were Mr. Wang, the one who was introduced to me, who would have known you, DB. So? Let's go get the divorce certificate, she said, nearly jumping up with excitement. This marriage doesn't count. Kayan lightly tapped his knee with his fingertip, his tone calm and detached. Now that you've got the marriage certificate, legally speaking, you're my wife. Kayan. If you want a divorce, it'll only happen if my grandmother recovers, or maybe. Do you really want her to leave this world carrying regrets? Yu was instantly speechless. He was right, he couldn't joke about an elderly person's health. Arriving at the old Ko family residence, Grandma took her hand and smiled from ear to ear. Xiao Yu, I'm so glad I finally get to see you. Her Yan has a cold personality, sorry for making you feel hurt. Yu glanced at the old man's kind smile, then swallowed the words that had already formed on her lips. All she could do was steel herself and play the role of daughter minus law. At the dinner table, Grandma K kept piling food onto her plate, while Kayan watched from the side, a barely perceptible smile playing on his lips. After the meal, Kayan escorted her back to second dance home. On the ground floor, Yu sighed, Mr. K. Continuing like this isn't a solution, we'll only end up getting caught sooner or later. It'll help you sort out the trouble with your second aunt. And you can move in here, he said, looking at her. Let's put the agreement in writing. After we get married, we'll leave each other alone. You'll receive your salary on time and cooperate with me to handle family matters. After 3 years, we'll automatically get divorced and he'll give you a lump minus some compensation. She thought for a moment about his rent and salary, then bit his lip and said, all right, deal. After moving into Kayan's villa, the two lived in separate rooms, keeping a strict distance from each other. During the day, she was his company's intern, held down in the office by him, driven to the brink of exhaustion as she revised his proposals again and again. At night, she was his nominal wife, accompanying him to various family gatherings and helping him navigate social obligations. During a company team-building event, a colleague teased and urged Director K to drink. Yu instinctively stepped in front of him. Director K has a bad stomach. He'll drink for him. Koyan watched her tilt her head back and down the liquor, his gaze growing solemn. On the way home, for the first time he took the initiative to support her, his voice carrying a barely perceptible gentleness. Drink a little less. She leaned against his shoulder, slightly tipsy. Kayan, if only you really were a bricklayer, then I wouldn't have to be nagged by you every day for having such lousy proposals. He let out a low chuckle. A bricklayer can't afford to support you. Gradually, Kayan's attitude began to change. He'd bring her midnight snacks when she stayed late at work, step in to smooth things over when clients gave her a hard time, and put down his own work to stay by her side whenever she fell ill. Qi's heart, too, started racing uncontrollably. It wasn't until that day that Aunt Second, accompanied by Mr. Wan, came knocking at the door. When she saw Kayan standing together with Yu, she was instantly taken aback. Kayan stepped forward, shielding Yu, and said calmly, Yu is my wife. Please don't arrange things like this anymore in the future. Only then did Aunt Second realize that she'd mistakenly pushed the wrong person, and she was so scared her legs went weak. Afterward, she sat on the sofa and looked at Kay. And you knew all along that I'd mistaken the person, didn't you? He nodded and said, the first time I saw you, I knew you'd gotten the wrong person. Then why didn't you say so? She asked, pouting angrily. Kayan stepped closer, took her hand in his, and looked at her with a serious expression. Because I don't want to miss you. She was taken aback, her heart skipping a beat. He let out a soft chuckle and pulled a ring from his pocket. Let's call off the agreement. I don't want to divorce you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, not just to appease our parents, but for real, for the whole lifetime. She looked at him, her eyes reddening, and nodded vigorously. Okay. It turns out that even a serendipitous, accidental beginning can lead to a destiny-bound ending. Yu never imagined that the marriage certificate she casually obtained back then just to avoid a blind date would actually land her a CEO husband and with him a lifetime of happiness.